walked across the stage. Gone now in the name of progress. There's only one school now in the county. That makes a difference. There are also more students, a greater population here. That too makes a difference. But gone is the school that you and I knew. I hated to see it go. Standing next door to where our high school stood is the intermediate school now. Just in the center portion there that you're looking at now where the air conditioners are is the cafeteria of this U-shaped building. The cafeteria stands about where the Malcolm House stood when you and I were going to school. In the distance now and off to the right, we see one leg of the U-shaped school. Beyond this building, part of the building, is an open space, and then another leg of the school building. Off to the left in the center is a building used for the athletic building, and then the agricultural building, some of the buses back in the distance. And off to our right is the band hall. These buildings, I don't know what they're used for now, probably maintenance, most of them, because most of the high school activities have been moved away from this particular area. The band hall was built after you and I graduated from school. It was a nice building. Off in the distance, you see some more new buildings just completed. They are additions to the primary school, which stands west of where our high school once stood. Buses are parked in this area when they're not being used, and on the day that this picture was made, it was Saturday, they were parked there. Tennis courts to the left center, and then the gymnasium built about 1935 out of rock, native rock, built by WWII labor. Another new addition, a water tower over near the school building. The one that you knew on Moreland Street is gone. This is one of two buildings we have. We have one over in the western or southwestern portion of town. In the distance to the left, you can see the primary building. That is the oldest portion of the primary building, just beyond the Robb Gymnasium. Some of the other buildings back there are the primary buildings beyond the tennis court. Tennis court is used by not only by students but by people uptown who are out for some kind of exercise or just for playing. And now looking towards where the black home used to stand, we see the Coca-Cola building, some of the trucks standing out the back. And then to our right, we see the new First State Bank drive-in windows. These stand now where the Little Tin store used to be and where the Turnage and Honeycutt homes were. Looking now toward where Sewell used to be, it's gone now. The State Bank is there. In the far distance, you can see the Masonic building on the left, Pittsburg Service Station on the right. And you recall that when you was here, Pittsburg Service Station was over where the State Bank building now is. That's part of the State Bank building you can see in the distance to the left. And now looking across the street from where the high school used to be over to Keston lot, we see a new addition to the business section of Pittsburg. We have our third drugstore here now, pharmacy they prefer to call it. And then another professional building nearby where they have a dentist and an attorney as an office. And still further to the right, we can see another new building just recently opened this past year where the Keston home used to stand. There are 4 offices now in this particular building. There's an accountant, a doctor, a veterinarian, and an optometrist. And now we've gone west over to where the first of the primary school buildings was. This is the oldest portion built, building 1953. The building didn't suddenly start to tilt there. It was my camera. Now you can see back on what was used to be the school ground where you used to play as a youngster probably. School buses parked. And off to the right, behind this building we were looking at a moment ago, is the old football stadium built after you left school, but it too now is gone. Now you can get a better idea of how the rock gym structure was, built out of native rock. There's a movement now on the foot to re-roof this building. I'm told it's in need of quite a bit of repair work. Possibly even some of the floors need replacing. Now we've gone all the way across town, over where L.B. Broach and his family used to live. And now we have the junior high building all the way across town. The school has bought considerable amount of property over there from Broach Street, the end of Broach Street, all the way over to Texas Street and to the old fairgrounds. Now we see the new football stadium, and in the distance we can see some of the buildings from the new high school. The train you see in the distance is all the way across this lot, all the way across the fairground, and over near the youth center. Just across the road from this is a Mike Bennett formal factory. This is a business that was started here in 1957. Formal dresses are sold all over the United States, and I am told that 7 out of 10 of the contestants in the Miss America contest wear Mike Bennett formals. Give you an idea of the location, if you knew where the W.M. Hull house stood, this is the old W.M. Hull house on Hull Road or Pistol Mill Road. And now I've stopped on Elm Street for a view of the new football stadium. Most of the school grounds now, such as this, are under lock. It's necessary now because of vandalism. And all I did was stop and take these pictures from the car. Actually, my time was limited. I had only about 2 hours to take these pictures. And that's what I did, and I'm talking now at a later time. But these pictures were made some 2 weeks before our reunion. And now about where the Dr. Mitchell home used to stand, we see some new buildings being constructed on the high school complex, the band hall, new band hall on the new high school complex on the Mitchell property, the cafeteria, and the high school building itself. Just to the right of the high school building from here is about where Dr. Mitchell's driveway used to turn off to go up to his house. And now we're standing down on, or in the car down on Texas Street, looking at the high school building. The front actually fronts on Texas Street. I might add it was rather difficult to take these pictures. In order to get a good set of pictures, you must catch the sun in the proper direction at a specific time. Actually, it's better to take them when there is no sun, but probably a little cloudy day. Now I've driven down to Madison Street, down near the corner of the old fairground, and looked back down to the high school buildings, some of the buildings out of the high school complex, to the new gymnasium where someone's already defaced the front wall. And now the high school auditorium is now in a building to itself just north of the gymnasium. And then off in the distance through the trees we can see the administration building. The old fairground now, the western portion where the trees was, where you used to park your vehicles, is now a city park. Of course, the eastern portion of this part here is a housing project. Back downtown now, I'm standing on the back lot of the post office looking across at the new State Bank building. And then across to where the attorney's lot used to be, we see the State Bank drive-in windows. The Coca-Cola building where the black residence used to be. For many years, the Coca-Cola was actually bottled in this building, but now it is not. It's brought in here by truck already in a bottle. And across the street, the Pittsburg service station, and I mentioned Pittsburg service station and took these pictures because many of you were familiar with the service station as it stood across the street about where the State Bank building is now. Next door to the service station is Patterson building. And then on the other side we have the Lodge building, Masonic Lodge. This might have been built when you were here. The fire station was built after you left Pittsburg, or after you graduated at least. We have some 5 or 6 fire trucks, 3 ambulances. One of the ambulances is housed here ready to go at any time. Fire station, I believe, was built in 1935. And now looking back at Hazelwood's warehouse back behind the post office there, about looking toward where the barn used to be. The First Baptist Church now, torn down in 1956, a new building constructed. Part of the offices and the educational part behind it, and then there are more on the other side of the building which you cannot see from the angle which this picture was made. Then across the street where the S.G. Boyd residence was, we see the Pittsburg National Bank. Pittsburg National Bank used to be up on Main Street when you were there, the Patterson building in the distance. Then Pittsburg National Bank built a building over where the library burned, the Carnegie Library building burned, and then they stayed there for a number of years and now have built this nice building. The drive-in windows, by the way, at the back of this building. This is Dangerfield Street. And now out on the Roy Morgan lot, out on Quitman Street, we see the Pittsburg County Library. Again, with the bright sunshine shining on the outside, it's hard to take good pictures such as this. The county and the city went together to build this library, and they have a very nice facility out here, one that we're very proud of here in Pittsburg. Now across the street we find what we call the Villager. It's actually a little shopping center out on Quitman Street. This is on the left just before you get to the Joe Smith or Madeline Albright place. The M&S Hospital. Personally, I'm not too fond of the design of this building, but at least it has a good rating. That's the main thing. A nice hospital, and it has been for a number of years. This is the main entrance. Just 2 doors west, we have one of our doctor's offices. He's built this nice office out there to himself. And then across the street, we have another new doctor's office. Since it's in a residential neighborhood, it was built to conform to the other buildings in the neighborhood. Pilgrim Industries, one of our bigger industries here in Pittsburgh. This is on South Texas Street between Quitman Street and the railroad. This is their main office building. Then across the railroad we see their mill. This mill stands where Hudson Gin stood when you was here. Then off across the right where the box factory was, those grounds are used now for maintenance for Pilgrim Industries. Back out now near where the grandstand used to stand out at the Fair Park, we see now that it's all taken up by baseball and softball grounds. The spot you're looking at there now, I just looked at, was where some of the livestock barns were. The racetrack area where ballpark now in, and then this area was where the colored exhibit hall stood about where you look in the foreground here. And now this tree might have some significance to J.R. and Willie Clark because it stood in front of their home out on Mount Pleasant Street. That site now, and has been for some time, occupied by the Bethel Baptist Church. And now we're looking up towards where the John Kent home used to be out on Daingerfield Highway. See some of the homes out there. Trees have grown up so that they hide the homes when you go to look at them with a camera. But there are some 40 or 50 homes, I imagine, out in this area, which once was occupied by the John Kent home and farm. These homes go all the way off down to the right, down to where the natatorium used to be. Of course, the natatorium is long gone. The golf course is still there. They have a country club and a nice building down there in the trees in the distance. Now that's Ted Craig's home on the left. We're back out now in the Pecan Heights edition. This is a place where Bartis Downs tracks might be. I don't know whether he put out these pecan trees or who put them out, but he used to live on this farm, and I'm sure his tracks are out there somewhere. Carla Shell lives out in this area. Then off in the distance down the road, well, this is the, off in the distance down the road, we see this place here. We could see it a moment ago. But this is what we call Meadow Creek Edition. It's out beyond Pecan Heights, out about across from where the James place was, out on the highway. These were some youngsters out here that were fascinated with the camera that I was using, wanted to get in the picture. And I couldn't resist taking a picture of people, anybody wanted to work. These are some of the homes out in this particular area. There are quite a few homes out there. They're real nice homes, as you can see. Again, the light was not conducive to making good pictures. Let's stop and talk to the boys a minute.
Let me get right up close to one of you. Right up in your face now. Just a minute. Okay, tell me your name now.
Mine?
Yeah?
Ken.
Tell you what?
Ken Copeland.
Ken Copeland. Okay, next one.
Joy
In the middle.
Joy Griffith.
Talk louder.
Joy Griffith.
Okay, and the next one?
Mike Cooper.
Okay.
This is still another street in this same edition. Now we're back uptown and on another day, and we're taking pictures now of the fire station. We have the ambulance when I'm sitting outside on this day. I hope the pictures come out a little better. It was a little cloudy on this day. Ms. McWater's office is back there at the back. That's a new building, built back since you left here. Kemp County Bank here was one time, and I don't recall what was there on the right when you were here. But Brother Lon Morris had a bank there in his first building. And then I believe in the next building was Carpenter Grocery at one time, but a number of businesses have been in these particular buildings, and this changed so much that I don't even recall who was there when you were here, and I don't recall everyone was there. It's been there since then, but up to the left, that particular portion there burned a few years ago. It used to be two-story, and possibly while you were here, the Owl Cafe was down at the other end of town. It moved up into this building before it burnt, and now there is another Owl Cafe back there just for last year. Now Dizzy's dress shop is no longer in business itself. That is the Abernathy building. The first portion you're looking at there, we have a dress shop there. The second portion, Joel Garrett has a radio and TV shop there. A flower shop comes next, and then off at the left up there, we have Parker Furniture. Bill Parker, you knew Bill Parker when you went to school, a lot of you. Somebody called him Red. And we're still back down at the Abernathy building there, showing you some of the modern appliances we have here. This is the Abernathy building. This is about where Clark's Grocery was. And now Bill Parker's Furniture Store. Pittsburg Hardware, W.A. Smith and Son are all gone years ago. State Bank no longer is up on the corner. Now looking across, and I don't recall who was in all these buildings in the next block. Best Yet service station was down the corner when you possibly were here. Now I'm looking back where the Clayton Hotel used to be, and there's the old depot in the distance, and where some of the buildings back on the back street used to be are burned and gone. Now we have Triad Manufacturing Company, another one of our new industries here, and a little eating place is built back on the back street. We're now back on the other back street, our Church Street. This is what we call the Maddox Building. Various businesses have been in here from time to time. Denman Lumber Company was here long ago, and now it's Andy Mabin's Lumber Company. The ice plant, no longer an ice plant. no longer an electric office down here. We build cabinets now where ice was made, and you can buy bread and pastries in the office there where you used to pay your electric bill. Of course, the railroad's still there, and then across the railroad tracks on the right, what used to be Texaco Station is now some other kind of a station. Hessen Hill Grocery was here when you were here, but now it's Coker Ford Agency. Now between the railroad tracks, Parker Auto Supply, not Parker actually, but they still go under that name, and I don't recall what was here when you were here. More grocery company buildings are there. Of course, more grocery has been gone for many, many years, but the building is still there, used mostly for storage. The King block, which you're looking at now, is more or less deteriorated. It's mostly used for storage. The old Masonic building portion, which used to stand here and was later used as a theater, burnt in 1964, and offices have been built in the middle of the block here now. This portion of the King block are occupied by some businesses. Some of them have been there for years. Some of them businesses come and go, and I think one or two of the buildings here is still used for storage. But Clayton used to be on the corner, is gone. Now this is across the street from Clayton. Now Couch Insurance used to be here just to your right. Louis B. Hess, where the shop is there. Nelson Berry. And now looking down across the weeds, it used to be a store place that J.R. and Willie's daddy used to operate on the back street there. Back on the front street now, looking where the Pittsburg National Bank used to be. Now it's a drugstore. Of course, the drugstore used to be in part of the building anyway. Pittsburg Gazette moved up where Boyd and Ellis was. W.L. Garrett now occupies where their particular store was, and also where the A&P Grocery was when you were here. Now back down to the main intersection now. Perry Brothers occupied this building for quite a few years. I believe Hopkins Grammar was there when you were here. Taylor's Drugstore now is back down in this part of town. B&S Hardware. To the left, Taylor's. Franklin's Food Store. I don't know whether Morris Barnes, I run a store there at one time, about the time we graduated, and then on down most of the rest of the buildings here for the next 2 or 3 buildings occupied by Hazelwood Furniture Company. The Pittsburg Gazette and Motor Company Chevrolet House was down there at one time. Thurman Keelan and his dad cleaned us off to the right, have now gone, sold out. Thurman's, like some of the rest of us, retired. Mary Lou's now occupied the place where the Crystal Theater was. Post office is still there in the same old spot. About the only change is the entrance and steps have been moved from the left-hand side to the front and center. Now another look at State Bank building. The fire station side view. This street was not here when you were here. It's been added. The courthouse is still back where it was. Now this is the where the Pittsburg Library, or Carnegie Library, was at one time. Pittsburg National Bank bought that property, built it, and now the city offices are there. And then we have businesses have built up now for a portion of the next block. And then across the street where the Murphy home used to be was filling station. Now looking back down the back street, back towards where Bisbee Market used to be in King Grocery. Most of this is hot link country now. Hot links are made, cooked, and sold in this particular area. Some of the buildings are used just for storage. This is another view of where the Clayton Hotel used to be. The little restaurant was built there, but didn't last long. It's been vacant for a number of years. The old Cotton Belt Depot hadn't been used in a number of years. Down across the railroad, we have Holman Manufacturing Company, which has been good business here for some number of years. And now on the other back street, back over here, we have some more business. The Best Yet service station used to be in this area. Mr. J.H. Curley, if you recall, ran it. And then this is on the corner. Used to be a mobile station here. It was vacant a lot by the Methodist Church when Prosper and you were here. We have a farm supply back here. Couch Insurance Agency here. And the Methodist Church where there now has an educational building there. And now this is looking where the Scudder, Joe Scudder filling station used to be. It's now closed up. Now this is Presbyterian Church just back of the Masonic building. Various office building that built now where the Partridge home used to be. And now as we leave you of the courthouse, changes have been made in Pittsburgh, changes have been made in our lives, and we'll continue.
Okay, classmates of 1932, it is a real pleasure to be here and enjoy this fellowship. In case some of you have forgotten, my name is J.R. Clark, and we're now at the Pittsburgh Youth Center in Pittsburg, Texas on the 3rd of October, 1982. And here with quite a number of classmates, the graduating class of 1932 at Pittsburgh High School. There were 43 in our graduating class, and quite a few, in fact, a little more than I expected, although there's some here that I wish had come along. I'll be talking to a number of them, anyone that would like to come up and tell me something about them. I was born in Simpsonville. Most of you people haven't heard of it, but it's about 11 miles south, a little west of here, in 1916. And we moved to Pittsburgh when we moved in January, and I was 4 years old in February. I did go to high school here from the first grade, Miss Bertie Biddings, and she was one of the greatest ladies, as well as Miss Lily, who's sitting here with me. And I used to help her take her buggy robe off and put her horse in the Kesterson's barn, I think it was, when she drove into school in her horse and buggy. Well, at any rate, I stayed out of high school for a year, and then was fortunate enough to go down to Waco with two sisters, Willie and Jewel, and we went to Baylor University, and I spent 4 years there before they kicked me out. I then worked around Waco for 4 years and saved my vacation until November 1940 and went out to New Mexico to go deer and turkey hunting. And a brother had made arrangement to lease a little sawmill, and I fell in love with the mountains and came back to Waco and gave my boss 30 days notice and moved right back to Waco, which upset my mama, Noan, because she thought I was going to Old Mexico. But at any rate, went in the logging and sawmill business there, and except for World War II, I spent 16 years doing that. Before World War II, I met my wife, who grew up at Holly Springs, which is just east of here. And I had never known either she or any of her family. They moved to Albuquerque in 1937, and I met her about Christmas time in 1940, and we were married in May of 41. We have 3 children, 3 boys. James Robert Jr., who is married to a nice little gal from Artesia, New Mexico, and they have 2 children, a girl and a boy. And the little girl, who seems like she should be about 5, is now entering the University of New Mexico as a freshman this fall. And the other boy is a freshman in high school. The other boy, and I named after my dad, Osceola, married a little gal from Carlsbad, and they live in Phoenix now and have 2 boys. The youngest son is named Tommy, and he spent 4 years in the Air Force, most of it being in Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City, and he met a nice young lady there, and she had already been married with 2 boys, and they have one now who I called El Scample, and they live in Albuquerque, as well as the oldest boy. I am not retired, just tired. After getting out of the sawmill and logging business, I sold truck trailers and equipment and industrial supplies, and I've been in the insurance business now for 15 or 16 years. Now I would like to call on Miss Lily, if I might, and ask her if she would like to have something to say about how she put up with all of us boys and girls when she was teaching in the Pittsburg school system. Miss Lily?
Well, that's been such a long time ago until I don't remember any particular person that I had to attend to while they were in school. I think most of them were good pupils, and I enjoy seeing them again. And I taught 36 years in Pittsburg, and some out in rural districts, which made altogether 47 years. And really there's not much to tell. I married, my husband lived just 9 years before he passed away. And I don't know of anything else that I need to say.
Well, Miss Lily, we certainly do appreciate that, and you helped if you helped everybody as much as you did me when I was in school, why, I know that they're all real proud of you. I don't know how I got hooked into this. Classmates and spouses and relatives and friends, we knew this lady as Miss Margaret Little. As soon as she came to Pittsburgh, G.W. Keeling latched on to her, and I don't blame him. Margaret, would you like to tell us, please, something about what's happened in these last 50 years?
Oh, well, I taught school for 5 years, wasn't it? Yeah. 5 years. And then after that, I quit because we wanted to have our little daughter. And so after she got large enough to leave with a babysitter some, I would help him, kept books for him in our business. And that's about it.
Where are your children living now?
We just had one child, one daughter, and they live now in Midland. They were in Dallas for a long time, but they live in Midland now. He's with Texas Instruments. Mm-hmm. And we see them occasionally, of course, sure, but not often enough.
Well, Midland, Odessa is about halfway between here and Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you live before you moved to Pittsburgh?
At Eagle Lake, Texas, a small town west of Houston.
Sure, sure. G.W., would you like to add anything to this?
No, she's said about all. We've had 51 years of good married life. We had our 50th anniversary last summer, and we hope to spend another one.
That's great. Well, thank you very, very much. Thurman?
Right here, I'm next.
Oh, you're next.
I'm next. Face the camera so they can see you.
I thought Mr. Keeling was going to bring the...
He's supposed to bring folks up, but he told me to come up.
Oh, well, if he told you, then you better get up here.
I'm up here right now.
Again,
face the camera. Good
this is Lacy Davis. I don't know how you could forget that feller. He's the one that roped me into this position. Of course, they picked on me all my life. Okay, Lacy, look around here and tell us what you've been doing for the last 50 years.
Okay, I got out of high school and went to work. I couldn't go to college. I had to go to work.
That's a 4-letter word, and we don't allow those in here.
Went on duty.
Oh,
went on duty.
Another 4-letter word.
And it took me 10 years to find a woman that would have me. And get her down here, Thurman. If I can get Jane down here, I'll introduce you to you. But I have a little secret I'd like to tell. Thurman Keeling has kept a secret for 50 years. No, 53 and a half years. And I'm going to tell that secret because Thurman doesn't remembers it probably. But, you know, I came up into senior study hall when I was... Come on around, Jane. This is my wife, Jane, that I finally found after 10 years. I found just 10 miles away from here down at Cation. She was Jane Fielder. But I think Jane's heard me tell this, but I've got to thank Thurman Keeling for keeping this secret. I came up to the senior study hall at midterm. Thurman happened to be an old timer. He'd been up there all of a half a term. And I made a boo-boo. I wanted to go to the library one day, and I walked into the library, and I didn't wait for the library attendant to come up because she was back there talking to some young man. And I went around the counter, went on back there, and she said, "Did you need something?" I said, "Yes." Let's move over this way so I can get on camera. I can't get to the camera a little bit.
We'd rather have you off.
Okay, I'll get off. But at any rate, I went on behind the counter, and Thurman saw me. Thurman happened to be sitting right out next to the door there. And I found out what I wanted, and Thurman was very nice to me. The next day we got down in English class. He made an announcement, says, I don't recall the teacher, do you, Thurman? Anyway, he says, maybe we should explain to these new students who have just come up how to go to the library and how to act. And I says, okay. She says, okay. Says, Thurman, you tell them. Well, he says, you go up there and go to the counter and wait for the attendant to come. Now, Thurman at no time, and to my knowledge, has never told that I'm the guy that went behind the counter. And I was so embarrassed that for the rest of that year at least, I never went back to the library. I went all the way over to my grandmother's, who had a set of encyclopedias, to do my reference work. But at any rate, Jane and I have 3 girls. One of them is in Elkhart, Texas. She's a choir director, an organist at the Methodist Church in Elkhart, Texas. That is Ann. She married Ron Boss, the band director. And by the way, they both play the organ and piano. Our middle girl, Nancy, who plays the organ and piano, is out in Augusta, Georgia at this particular time. She married Ed Hendricks, Dr. Ed Hendricks, right now. They will be moving in January to the northern part of Georgia, where he will take over practice from another doctor in the doctor's office. They have 3 boys, Sean, Ryan, and Corey. Ann, by the way, has 2 children, a boy, Lee, and a girl, Melanie. And then we have a younger daughter, Linda, who lives here in Pittsburg. She and her husband married about 10 years ago. Shortly after she graduated from high school, Laurie Miller. But she and Laurie have divorced now, and they have 1 daughter, Josie. And we see them quite often. And that's enough from me. Thurman, who do you have next?
Lacy, thank you very, very much. And classmates, I think we owe Lacy and Thurman and Carlos a big vote of thanks for all the work that they have put into this reunion. Mr. Bartus Downs, classmates, and his wife, Jane.
Jane.
Bartus, tell us about yourself the last 50
well,
years.
I moved to Gilmer, to Pittsburg, 1929. Started school after going to 4 other schools in local areas, but I finished up school here with this class. After I finished up school, I did not go to college because I got married to this lady here.
I don't blame you.
In July. So we celebrated our 50th anniversary on the first day of August of this year. We have 1 daughter, and she has 4 sons and 1 daughter. Our daughter, she works in...
I said 2 greats.
Our daughter works in Texas University Hospital in Tyler. Our grandsons, they all have good jobs. One of the oldest one is a machinist in Kilgore. The next one, he's a millwright, works in a construction company. The third grandson, he's electrical engineer at the hospital and maintenance work in Gladewater, Texas. Our youngest grandson graduated from Kilgore College this year in diesel engineer. He's working in Gladewater in the Chevrolet house as a mechanic there, diesel mechanic. Our granddaughter, she married the boy. He's a millwright too, and also in construction work. But I have followed construction work ever since I left high school here. For the last 23 years, I was inspector for architectural engineers around them government housing projects, sewer systems, and water systems. And in conclusion to that, I'd like to thank all of you fellas, these fellas that still live around Pittsburg here, for helping get up and getting these classmates together for this time. I thank you.
Bartus, thank you very much, but Janie had something to add, and you wouldn't let her have the mic.
Let her have it.
I said we had 2 great-grandchildren, a great-granddaughter, and a grandson.
Well, you don't really look old enough, but congratulations, and thank you very much. Thurman?
We can drive back to New Boston tonight.
That's right. Okay, Beverly. Beverly Bass. Velvy Bass.
Bass McVeigh.
McVeigh. I'm sorry, Beverly.
Fine.
Why don't you tell us something about what you've been doing the last 3 or 4, 5, 50 years?
Well, I finished high school here, of course, and I received my master's, my bachelor's and master's from East Texas Commerce. And then I began teaching, and I married and have 3 daughters, and one of them's here tonight, Margie McVeigh, and then Mary,
Hello, Margie.
Mary McVeigh, and Martha McVeigh. And Margie works at the state comptroller's office, and Mary works at Neiman's in Dallas, and Martha works at the Tocqueville in Sherman. And I have been retired for 2 years. I taught 3 years here, and then when I moved to New Boston, for 10 years I saw my children till the last one got in school, and my husband passed away in '62. And so I am now enjoying retirement, just having a blast.
That's
It's
great.
So good to be back.
That's great. Would you like to add anything?
I just want to say that I've been to the last 2 reunions that y'all have had, and it just looks good to see everybody still here and in good health.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Dodson, where have I seen you before? Folks, this is Foy Dodson. Foy, what have you been up to all these years?
Well, when I graduated from high school, I went directly to East Texas State summer term. Went there for 1 year. You know, the Depression was on about that time. I went to work after that 1-year college. Worked for about 7 years, and then went to the University of Houston for 2 years and studied accounting. I worked several different jobs, but the last one, I worked 36 years for Hudson Engineering Corporation in Houston. Well, I met my wife. We went together for 4 weeks after I met her before we got married. They said it wouldn't last, but it's 38 years now.
Well, you were always a pretty good flash.
We have 3 daughters and 4 granddaughters. They know men in the family. They're all girls. We're expecting another one in about April, I think. We're wondering whether it's going to be a boy or girl, because we don't want to come out like the boy that he said his sister had a baby about a week ago and said, I don't know whether it's a girl or a boy. I said, I don't know whether I'm an uncle or an aunt. Our oldest daughter got her bachelor's degree from University of California, Berkeley campus. She got a PhD from University of Chicago. Second one got her bachelor's degree from University of Texas. And the youngest one got her master's degree from Texas A&M. That's about it.
Boy, thank you very, very much.
Enjoyed being here, and I'm coming back 5 years from now.
You bet. So are we all. Hello, Ted. And Earlene, sure. Sure, I understand you've been a world traveler, so why don't you tell our classmates something about what you've been up to?
Well, the first place, I was born in a smaller town, down at Brumley.
I know very well, not very far from where I was born.
Right, yeah. And then I started to work for an oil company, later turned in to be Skelly, worked for them 10 years, mostly at Longview, and then was in service 4 years. Then I came back and went to work for Harco, Atlantic Richfield, and worked for them 34, and I've worked in every state that we have producing the oil fields in, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma. The last 10 years, the biggest part of it spent in Alaska, up on the North Slope. We have one, huh?
We'll talk a little louder, I think.
Yeah. We have one son, and he lives in Fort Worth, and have 4 grandchildren, 3 boys and one little daughter. And he's with General Dynamics, and his wife's secretary for the president of Bell Helicopter.
You weren't up on that North Slope in Alaska?
That's right. I went up there in 1969 and stayed until I retired about 3 years ago after 2 trips.
How is it really living in those igloos up there?
Well, we had it pretty good. Had it pretty good, but it gets pretty cold. I've seen the chill factor down to 110 below.
We don't quite have that in East Texas, and I'm sure that's why you came back.
Right. And we came back and built us a home here out on the Dansfield Highway. So glad to be back, Pittsburg.
Ted, it's good to see you, by gollies, and you'll be back here 5 years from now. Earlene, it's a real, real pleasure.
Thank you.
Dorothy. Dorothy
Winger.
But
Bell.
Dorothy Bell Winger. And her daughter?
This is Trinket.
Trinka? Okay, Dorothy, tell us about yourself in the last 50 years.
After I finished high school, I didn't have the money to go to college right then, so I had to work in the fields, picking cotton and what have you, until I got enough money to go to school on. And it took me until 1940 to get a degree. And then there were only 2 things to do in those days. Teach school or get married, and I couldn't get married, so I taught school, and I taught my way west. And I started in Silverton, Colorado. I lived there 4 years in the mountains. And then I taught in Arizona and California, Alaska, and settled on the West Coast in Coos Bay, Oregon, where in all those years, I taught 38, and I retired in 77. I married in, well, anyway, I lost my husband in 75. December the 31st, 75. I have one child, Janet Trinka, and 2 grandchildren, a girl and a boy. A girl 3 and a boy 3 months. I'm not doing anything but living out at the creek now. I started out helping my mother raising chickens, and I'm back out there. I'm not helping my mother, but I'm out there raising chickens. So you know, I've really done something in this life.
Well, you moved back home, in other words.
Yes, I moved back out here on the creek where I was born.
That's great. This is great, great country, I'll guarantee you. Dorothy, thank you very, very much. I wish you'd said that a little bit earlier, Lacy, because really I don't like to stand too close to this little gal here. This happens to be, let's see, what's your name? This is my 4th cousin, 3rd removed, Willie Clark McMullen. Willie, tell us a little bit about your grandchildren.
He's the one, I'm the one who kissed the Blarney Stone, but he's the one who has the gift of gab. It didn't help me one particle. I have one beautiful daughter, a handsome son-in-law, and 2 of the most beautiful grandchildren who ever lived. The little girl is 13, my grandson is 15 and 6'3". They are very active in a lot of different things, very, very beautiful and very, very intelligent. Of course, I don't know where that came from, probably from Uncle Jake. But the good Lord willing, 1 week from tonight, I will be in Tokyo. This will be my 2nd trip to the Orient, and I'm really excited about it. My dear sister Virginia is joining me, and a college friend. And that's just about all I can say.
Well, thank you very much, Willie. I had to prod her because she never talks about her grandchildren. Hello, Frances.
Well, I'm Frances Nelson Allen.
This is Frances Nelson, folks. Everybody listen.
And I live in Dallas. I'm a widow. My husband passed away in 1968, and I retired in June of this year, and I'm thoroughly enjoying my retirement. And I have one daughter who's recently moved to Germany for 3 years. My son-in-law is in the Air Force. And I have 3 grandchildren, a grandson 11, Todd, Lauren 8, and little Jacob 2. And they're very dear, and I thoroughly enjoy them. And that's just about all.
Frances, thank you very much, and it's so good to see you.
Good to see you, Jim.
I have nothing to say.
This is Josephine
Reynolds
Farley, and I want to tell you folks, she insulted me 3 times this afternoon before I had a chance to say anything. But at any rate, Josephine, talk about yourself instead of me for a little while.
Okay, I'll be glad to. I was married in 1938 to James L. Farley. I have one son who is 42, 2 grandsons. One is the senior at LSU. The other is in high school. They live their home is in Shreveport, Louisiana. And that just about gets it for me.
Come on, Josephine, you can talk more than that.
I can't. It's just too much.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Okay.
Hello, Enola. This is Enola Riley, and her brother Buck, I'm sure all of you remember, was one of my dearest friends when we were going to school. He used to talk about musket loading rifles and shotguns, and we always called him Cock-It Riley. Enola, Walton, tell us about yourself. What have you been doing the last 50 years?
I haven't done a thing.
You're the luckiest person I've ever seen. You must have had a lot of fun.
I have. I've had a lot of fun. When in 1936, I was married to Melvin Walton, and we have had 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. My daughter Ann is with me tonight. And
hello, how are you?
And I wanted your mom to introduce you, but would you like to say something?
I would just like to say that I have very much enjoyed being here tonight, and looking forward to being with all of y'all again in 5 years.
Thank you very, very much. Enola?
I have 8 grandchildren, and I've been teaching Sunday school 40 years, and somebody asked me something about the scriptures. I said, I think I know a few things, but not everything. So to me, I've learned to talk. When I was going to school, I very seldom answered a question unless I just had to. I was too timid. And I've learned to talk, and I have a lot of friends, and it is such a privilege to be here tonight to see my old friends. And my oldest son passed away in June, and Doyle lives in Longview, Ann lives in McKinney, and Charles lives in Batesville, Mississippi. He's attending Ole Miss and working for his master's degree, and I'm very proud of him.
I'm sure you are, Nolan. Thank you very much, and Ann, thank you for coming with your mom. Hello, Francis. Come on up here, Elsie.
I'm going to start at the beginning on this.
She's not going to start at the beginning, folks.
Yeah,
but I want to tell you something. I had the real pleasure of having Elsie and Francis work with me out in New Mexico for
5 years.
5 years. It seemed like 1, but if she says 5, it's 5. But Francis, tell these classmates of ours something about what else you and Elsie have been doing.
Okay.
Besides going to all these rallies.
Well, that's the most fun. Well, anyway, Elsie and I married the year after we got out of high school, and we have 3 daughters, Peggy, June, and Patsy. Peggy is living in Florida, and she's still going to school. She's been going to school ever since she started in the 1st grade. She just won't stop. And June lives in Mount Pleasant, and Patsy lives in Fairfax, Virginia. And LC worked for himself for a while, and then we went to New Mexico with JR for 5 years. He worked for Lone Star Steel, and he retired, and we're having a wonderful time.
LC, how about something from you, young feller?
Well, I worked for you 5 years out in New Mexico, and I really enjoyed it.
You didn't work for me, you worked with me, young feller.
I really enjoyed it, JR.
Thank you very much, and I'll always consider a friend.
Thank you.
That's all we can say. Oh, that's wonderful country out there, though. It looks like I'm next.
Hello, Alma, you're next.
Yes.
How about that? Why don't you tell us what you've been up to?
Well, I'm still working 3 days a week at Kids Corner, which is a child store. My husband passed away 21 years ago, and I'm still living in Greenville, and I certainly have enjoyed these reunions.
Well, I've only made this my 2nd one, but I'll be here for the 4th.
Well, I hope we will, too.
Thank you very much. Oh, don't tell me this fellow's coming up here.
Mr. Clark, I'm Carlos Shell.
Mr. Shell, where have I run across you before?
Very seldom have you run across me.
Carlos Shell from Pittsburg High School.
Right on.
Hello, Carlos. Tell us something about you and this nice lady.
Well, this nice lady and I have been enjoying about 46 years of marriage. We've been in Texarkana for the past 25 years, but we moved home 3 years ago, and we're enjoying every minute of it. We've enjoyed this convention, enjoyed seeing you and your sister and everybody else, and looking forward to another one 5 years from now.
That a boy, Carlos, and we're going to be here. Would you like to add something to that?
I don't think I can add a thing to that.
Sure you can. Tell us what he's been up to, really.
Oh, no, I'd better not.
All right, Carlos, thank you very much. I don't remember this young lady.
Oh, I know you don't.
Neva Davis Terry.
Yeah.
Neva, it's a real, real pleasure.
Well,
And I
it's
know
more
you've been
to me.
traveling too.
Yes, I have. And there's a lot of it I don't even remember in these last 50 years. Or what, well, 50 years, isn't it?
Almost.
But it's all been fun. Life has been a great experience for me. And I'm not proud of everything that I've experienced, but everything's been necessary. And I think one of my greatest moments has been here today and 5 years ago to be with all of those that I did start out with. I have been married more than once, and I'm unmarried now for several years. But I was blessed with 3 children and 15 grandchildren, and I have 3 great-grandchildren.
I can't believe that.
That's right, 3 great-grandchildren. The oldest one of them is 6 years old. So, and they're just the greatest joy in the world to me.
Neva, where are you living now?
In Houston. Live there, and my daughter's there, and my son, one is in Wisconsin, one is in Colorado. So everything's okay today.
Well, this is a real, real pleasure, and thank you so much. I know all of you folks remember Christelle Elwell Ripley. Her brother, Norman, was just one of the greatest boys in the world. I just enjoyed every minute of the time that I spent with him. So, Christelle, tell us something about yourself in the last 50 years, half a century.
Well, I'm one of the lucky ones, and I've been able to attend all of our reunions that we have had. And I have thoroughly enjoyed all of them, and I'm looking forward to the next one. I went to work for the telephone company right after we graduated from high school. I worked for them for 41 years and retired in 1975. This is my husband, Herman Ripley, and we are both retired. He was with a insurance company, and he is retired now, so we are just living it up and not doing anything.
That is just great. Christelle, it's sure good to see you.
Thank you.
Hello, Perry.
Hello, Jar.
God, it's sure good to see you, Perry.
Be careful of the lights. You might blind you.
You bet, you bet. Okay, Perry Davis, tell us about yourself, Perry, but don't tell us about your grandkids. Just tell us about your own kids.
Thank you. I want to introduce Frances.
Oh, I'm sorry, Frances.
My wife, Frances. And we have 3 children.
How many?
3. They came along a little late, you know. But we do have one in college and one in starting the 1st grade. And still in the same place it was when we graduated. Still in the same house we graduated from.
And Lacy, it took him longer than 10 years to find a woman to put up with him.
But it was a good deal whenever he did.
Well, sure. Good deal.
Good to be here, J.R.
Francis, maybe you can tell us a little more about this feller.
Oh, he's a pretty good guy.
When?
I've enjoyed him now for about 30 years, so he's a pretty good guy.
Perry, thank you very, very much. And you also, Frank. That cake was delicious.
Thank you.
You don't really have to come up, do you?
I don't have to, no.
This is Mr. and Mrs. Thurman Keeling.
Thank you, Walter.
Jane.
Walter Cronkite.
This, Dorothy, I'm sorry, Dorothy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is my...
But this fella, as I told you folks at the last reunion, is the first young fella that I met when Papa and Mama moved all of his brood and her brood to Pittsburg. Thurman Keeling.
We were neighbors way, way back yonder. We used to play marbles together and tops, shoot fireworks together. And this is my wife, Dorothy. I picked her up at the Western Union office.
Across the tracks.
Yeah.
No, by the tracks. It wasn't across.
And we have a daughter named Linda and 3 grandchildren by her. And we have a son, David, and he's expecting. His wife is expecting.
Oh, I was going to.
Around the 1st November.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure to see all y'all this reunion. We have really enjoyed it, and looking forward to the next 5 years. Thank you.
Great, Thurman. And Dorothy, I apologize. I knew better, but I'm not thinking very straight up here in front of all you people.
Lacy's next, I guess.
No, Lacy's already been here.
Oh, has he?
Again, classmates, I thank the good Lord that I was able to make this 50th reunion. It's a real pleasure to see so many of you people that were able to come. And I kind of felt bad about a letter someone wrote about this would probably be the last. I'm not going to bet on that. I'm going to bet that we have another one, maybe 2 years, but if it has to be 5 years, it'll be 5 years. Now, everybody's picked on me all my life, and they did again tonight by handing me this stick and looking at that picture there. So please bear with me, and I want to thank all of you, and I have really had a wonderful time. Thank you, Lacy.